If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. So let's waste no time. I'm a classic man. Oh, do. I'm a classic man. Don't you feel it? Let's get to it. Story number 1. What people are doing to their bodies now could haunt them later. During the COVID-19 saga, apparently Canadians have been spending money on a lot of weed, getting high, getting wasted. One report says that Canadians spent $231.6 million on weed in 2020 compared to $104.5 million in 2019, and the number seems to be rising. Weed has been proven to have lasting effects on the brain and can even cause birth defects in some reports and some research. Optimism going a long way. And there's another headline. And as the world battles with suicide, it seems to be that optimism could save some people. Now, it's important to find something to do and stay positive in all of this COVID-19 craziness. There have been multiple headlines talking about how teens and many Americans are dealing with suicidal thoughts and have been in and out of the news lately as many Americans try to battle with these thoughts. So this is showing that there's a growing need for suicide awareness and prevention programs, and just try to show some love out there. We don't want people jumping off the mountain. We need you, especially if something breaks down. We need somebody to pick up the weight. 50 underage partiers made headlines in Massachusetts after 2 parents and a student were charged in Massachusetts for drinking, and I guess they had some things going on. This headline shows that people are turning to bad habits to cope with the pandemic and other issues that they're having. It's always good to find something positive to do. If you don't hear from me, hear from somebody else, and just try to hit the gym. Weights, work out, feel good about yourself. Showing love to yourself is like showing love to a flower, showing love to the world. Lady Gaga says that she had suicidal thoughts after finding success. This seems to be the case for other well-known celebrities as well. So that means if you love yourself, you can love somebody else. And not only love yourself, but the love reflects. You know what I'm saying? Whew. CDC reports that adult obesity rates are on the rise. Big girls need love too, along with big everything else that's big out there. But don't be happy with obesity. Hit the gym, and pretty soon, if you desire to lose weight, you will lose weight. If you want to be a lineman, you can be a lineman. If you want to be a dancer, you can be a dancer. You can be a somebody. Feel good already. Even an obesity race on the rise. During the kids' remote learning in Florida, I guess some parents were reportedly smoking weed and drinking booze while they were helping their kid in their online classes. So story number 1 is a story about encouragement, staying positive, and knowing that what you do to your body early could harm you later on in life. Keep an eye on story number 1. It's a good story. Story number 2. Who will mediate to keep China and the U.S. from feuding? President Trump continues to blame China for COVID-19, and China continues to resist as the relationships continue to sour. This is another big developing story as the saga between the United States and China continues. An NYPD officer is accused of spying for the Chinese. I got China on my mind, China on my mind. Spying for the Chinese, espionage. According to a Fox News report, Herschel Walker claims that China is helping fund Black Lives Matter, who later, and I guess they're later funneling the money and donating it to the Democratic Party. Well, we'll see how this story turns out. That's why story number 2 made it this week. It tickles the imagination and shows that we all need somebody to lean on. And maybe China and U.S. will resolve this problem, not only with a better way to organized cheap labor, but a better way to pay up. As the good reverend would say, it's time to pass the offering plate around. Hallelujah. China has finally put some money in a plate. And America is too. Story number 3. Is the media inflicting racial strife? Big mystery. Now, recent media stories have highlighted racial issues and concerns that often deliberately point out whether a person is white or black, which could be a problem in some situations. Now, this seems to be a growing concern in the entertainment and media world because it may be inflicting unnecessary strife about what is real problems and what are not real problems. But if there is a racial problem, what people are concerned about is the fact that it could be reflecting and affecting other people's relationships with other people that they may even love. Some people have, the majority of Americans have mixed blood in their families, so that's why story number 3 is just wondering, is this all done on deliberately by some group somewhere in a room somewhere? So that's why story number 3 is still developing. But as this story continues to heat up, analysts are spilling out some very important racial stats also that need to be addressed. Now, as this story develops, these stats are shining a lot of light on people that have been neglected, racial groups that have been neglected for over years. Now, this probably includes Native Americans, and not only African Americans, but other ethnic groups as well. So story number 3 is one of those stories that gives you the idea of coming to America to seek freedom and justice in a constitution that is for and by the people. Story number 3 is a good story. Story number 4. Is Trump really the problem? President Trump. Or is there something systematically wrong in America? Now, it is evident that America is polarized, but there may be a real issue lingering around blame, pointing the finger. Now, for years, academics, skeptics, and activists have found they've fought over social issues of governing and personal responsibility, but a grassroots movement has been evolving between the informed and the uninformed. Now, as new issues arise, most people can't seem to grasp who is actually the blame for America's current conditions, which could really be out of focus on the real actual problems. Now, the true reality is that if Americans don't get on the same page soon, there could be a falling out of the idea of America's representative democracy and republic for which it stands. If you want to be exact, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, the real issue may center around how naive some Americans may be, especially when it comes to voting. This is another big developing news stories. A Canadian woman charged with threatening President Trump after mailing rice into the White House has made headlines. Another headline: according to CNBC, reports say that President Trump and his businesses could be facing a criminal tax probe and even bank and insurance fraud. Now, these are a lot of stories to kind of seep in, but these stories could give you some insight on what is all happening in the news in 4 top headlines. Well, those are our four top headlines. I'll be right back with the top 4 headlines that made it into the Mediator this week. So don't go anywhere. You're the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. So let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Woo! Story number 5. Our people's fascination with drugs reaching its peak. Maybe they're finally tired They finally want to get some help. Drugs have destroyed communities here and abroad, but could people's fascination with drug use be the reason? Now, since the drug boom, the after effects have been catastrophic, and some still have not kicked the habit. They have lost, a lot of people have lost pretty much everything. Now, this seems to be the centerpiece and an ongoing revelation of what drugs have done to communities and innocent people. One dark web bust led to the arrest of 179 people. The bust included the seizure of fentanyl, oxycodone, methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, and MDMA. Now, out of those people arrested, 119 were from the United States. The story is still developing. 26 charged in a drug ring operating out of Milwaukee. Now, officers in California and Milwaukee, this is what the report says, seized 32 firearms and $170,000 in cash. They also seized marijuana, cocaine, and more than 700 grams of heroin combined, according to the report. Story number 5. Stay away from the stuff. Get off of it. Find something to be in your life. Be all you could be. Stay away from that stuff. Story number 6. How is the porn and marriage business doing? Now, I want to warn you that this content is about sex and the porn industry. It is not meant to offend anyone, but there are some people who do not mind getting on camera in their birthday suit, and they don't mind walking around the Garden of Eden before and after the good Lord came. So yes, a lot of people do watch porn, and yes, it is a billion-dollar business. There have been multiple stories that caught my attention about porn stars telling their behind-the-scenes stories, which involve brutal beatings and drug use that has even changed my views, the Mediators, on the billion-dollar art, which is porn. Now, stories about human trafficking have also surfaced. The easy access to porn falling into the hands of children and young teens outside of responsible adults is what bumped this story up to number 6. Numerous stories outside of responsible adults trying to make a living and feed themselves and go to college is what put the porn industry in the spotlight, because of growing concerns about a creative art that, like many other art forms of human art, that could possibly be heavily corrupted and possibly have already gone into the corruption warning signal. But the main thing is that these stories need to be talked about so people can see what is actually going on behind the scenes and what these adult film stars are actually going through. Now, anti-porn petitions have reached 2.1 million to some well-known porn sites due to the spread of porn dealing with minors. So once it hits the minor circuit, it is no longer an adult problem. It is a child problem. And that's what caught my attention, because everybody's got a little skin in the game, and everybody has got a side to them that can get a little nasty. The freaks come out online. Freaks come out. The freaks come out online. This story is still developing, but listen to the people. Listen to what they've got to say. And they do have a lot of good stories to talk about, and that's usually what helps. The marriage business is also on the radar because a lot of people are choosing to stay away. I'm one of those people. Now, in a world filled with rage and emotions, news stories of brutal divorces and breakups continue to make headlines. Some have even involved split-ups that have resulted in deaths, suicides. It goes on and on. These stories are still developing, and they warn you that we all need love. Some people love themselves. Some people love, but some people got a lot of love in them. Just find it. Search for it. And you'll find that to love somebody is a gift to all mankind. Whew! Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Money problems are real. So how are people responding? People got money woes. Axios reports that unemployment concerns are growing, and Now, the key note in this article is that nearly 30 million Americans are collecting unemployment benefits. That's an estimate. It probably is more. Now, Forbes magazine also reported that next year the national debt will exceed 100% of the national income, and the debt cycle doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. These stories are still developing. Stocks took a tumble this week after big money bank laundering reports surfaced. So keep an eye on that story as well. One headline reads that 74% of hotels will probably have to lay off employees if there is no stimulus relief deal, and the U.S. could slip into a double dip recession. We need money, and the government is the only place to get it from. 72% of Latino households have reported money woes in the midst of COVID-19 compared to the majority. Rich folks, if you're out there, spend the money. Give it to, if you don't know what to do with it, give it to me. I'll show you what to do with the money. Don't let money change you, but you can let it spend it, baby. Woo. I get excited about nothing. Social Security remains a top concern for many Americans, hoping that the program will stay funded and alive in the midst of the country's financial problems. A lot of retirees and middle class people who did a lot of hard time on the workroom floor depend on that Social Security, so keep it alive. Since March, CNN reports that while the 1% have lost money, billionaires have gotten richer. Whew. That's not good. That means that somebody is holding on to the pot. We got to get to it. Mercedes Scallop, I hope that's how she says that Joe Biden will destroy the economy. Now, the reporter used Trump's economic stats that show increases in wages and employment rates for Latinos and African Americans. Now, in her comments, she stated that Joe Biden could kill the economic spark that she credits Trump for creating. Story number 8, the top international headline developing news story that made it this week. Saving capitalism and the American way seems to be the goal. Now, activists, including refugees from socialist countries, are warning Americans to stay away from socialism. This seems to be a big concern right now, as many see the American way in danger. Now, Trump's base is also credited for sounding the alarm on socialism concerns, as many feel that the American way is in danger. So keep an eye on this story. This is a big headline. That's why it made it to the top this week, because they're playing this card constantly in this next election. Now, this key headline seems to be the centerpiece of a cry to save, I'll say it again, America, and get everyone on the same page. Other than social issues, this could be the big factor that we need to focus on. But social issues and all this political unrest could be hindering us from this effort to get everybody on the same page, and the fact that this is a good idea. Let's group together. There's been paperwork filed, and let's work on building instead of breaking and tearing down. Story number 8 is a big headline. Well, those are our top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I hope you got something out of today's program, and please, as usual, I'd like to please thank, and I ask you to please thank them, all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just a mediator. Don't forget to, if you want to show some support, you go to the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. I like to say rest in peace to the judge on the Supreme Court who just passed away, Ruth. I wish I could have met you, and all of the other people who founded this great nation and tried their best to keep it alive. Thank you so much for tuning to the Mediator this week. Try to stay civil. Have a good week, everybody, and pay your respects to the judge. Have a good week. I'm out of here. I'll be right back next week, probably with 200 or more stories to look at and a few to give you to pass on. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.